What's up, everybody? It's Peter Tragos, the lawyer you know, and on this channel, we break down the trials and cases you care most about so you can understand how the American civil and criminal justice system works. And we try to make sure you understand what your rights are in every situation, which is why we try to walk you through the entire legal process while also answering your insightful questions along the way. And while it's not legal advice, it's always exciting. So buckle up for another episode of The Lawyer You Know. What's up, everybody? We're here talking Sarah Boone. Trial starting January 30th right here in Florida. And I've had a lot of questions. Is this trial actually going to happen? Will we get another delay? We've talked about the sixth lawyer coming in and trying to bounce on this case and the judge not allowing it. And whether or not this trial is actually going to go, we are going to find out 1 week from today. January 17th is the pretrial date where they talk about what trials may be ahead of them, when this case is going to go, if it's supposed to go. I think with all the delays we've already had, as long as, Sarah Boone and the lawyer don't agree to part ways or something catastrophic happens, I think this trial is on track to go January 30th. So we're going to find out. And if you don't know about this case, this is about the lady in Florida who came downstairs after a night of games with her significant other, finds him lifeless in a suitcase, and come to find out she had a part in putting him in there, maybe pushing him down the stairs, maybe leaving him there, maybe responsible for his death. We have gone through her police interrogation at the police station. We have talked about this arrest. We've even shown clips of this arrest section here, but we have not watched this body cam footage in its entirety that I can remember, at least, unless we have, and I just totally forgot about it, which is also possible. But we're going to look at this again today. And if we have watched parts of it before, let this be a little refresher, and we'll call it our trial prep so that we can remember what happened in this case, when it happened, how everybody reacted to it at the time, because we literally are going to get immediate reactions and admissions from Sarah Boone right at the scene of the crime, immediately following her finding her lover in a suitcase, literally. Incredibly sad. People have said they've watched it elsewhere. Absolutely. So it's a bit of a refresher, but also some new details for us to discuss. And we're going to look at it from the way of how would a prosecutor use this? What parts would a prosecutor put in at trial? What parts may the defense use? And may the defense use at trial in the rule of completeness to make sure this whole video comes in so we can get the entirety of the perspective. Ashley will hang for 30 minutes and then you'll come and rewatch later, which will be great. The video is about 40 minutes long. We'll listen to it on 1.25 speed. 1.5 was a little hard to understand, so it'll take about 30 minutes. We'll answer questions, of course. If you haven't hit that like button, please do. Some YouTube glitches yesterday, I guess. I was talking to my wife, and it would just be so miserable if this was your full-time job and you had to rely on glitches crushing some of your videos, because we had a pretty high view video yesterday talking about the Idaho 4. We're taking a mini break today, but I'm actually recording a short for some information that came out, and people are asking what it means and why something is sealed. So I'm going to do a short on that later today, and it'll post. I'm speaking at an event during the time we usually do our lives. That's why we had to push the live up a little bit. But I will be doing a short on the Idaho 4, not a long form video today. I didn't think there was enough quite for that. And I did want to get back into Sarah Boone and Alex Murdaugh a little bit. Today is going to be dedicated to Boone and going through this. But the video from yesterday with my dad had a ton of likes, ton of views, people interacting in it. And the YouTube studio was showing it declining in views. It was really weird. Somebody said one of my favorite channels got hacked. Yeah, there was a really weird thing. So I don't think as many people saw yesterday's video with my dad as I think would have enjoyed it and learned from it. So if you know anybody that's interested in that Idaho case, send them that video so they can make sure they see it if they wanted to. If not, no big deal. But hit that like button now, because it does really help when glitches like that happen. For the video to still stay up in the algorithm. So if you enjoy this content, hit that like video. If you want to join the membership, like Carrie Ray, go ahead and do that. We have a lot of fun there with our members. Thank you so much, Chris Hollins, for the super sticker. And Andrea is going to get us jump started here into this very interesting video that I think we can learn a lot from here. Without further ado, let's get to it. All right, here we go.
Right there. Did you call it? What time did you call it?
I do have closed captions on. They're not throughout the entirety, but they're on most of it. She's figuring out who called it in, and now we get to meet Sarah Boone for the first time. Even though we're doing this a little backwards as we did some of the later stuff, but this is the first interaction law enforcement has with her.
Hello there. Okay. You live here? Yes. Okay, I'll talk to you. We gotta get some information from the fire department.
The property manager. I don't know if I should go tell him really quick or
We'll
so he
take
knows
care of
what's going
that.
on.
Where's he at?
And you want that way.
Oh, don't worry about that. We'll take care of that for you, okay?
Yeah, the officer's like, you're worried about the property manager, making sure he knows what's going on. That's what you're thinking about right now. And some of this stuff, again, just her psyche and her demeanor is not what you would expect if you find your significant other the way that she did.
I had a cigarette though.
I'll get it for you, okay? Wait 1 second, okay?
P.S. That beep you just heard, you can turn down the volume if you'd like. You can turn off the volume. You can control it. That is going to happen with throughout the video because that's something the law enforcement officer is wearing that's beeping in. And it just hurt my ears. So be ready for that.
Really need some drink.
Okay, well,
I got my Dr. Pepper on the counter.
okay, we'll take care of you. Give me 1 second.
It's Armando.
Correct, Relic. Just to be clear, nobody is saying this is new. This is old. We're backtracking to the very beginning to give us a little refresher before the trial starts in 2 weeks.
Put the time. That you called it. That's the time you called it? Okay, perfect. You can't go back inside. What's going on? Who is he to you? Boyfriend?
Yes, for like 3.5 years.
What happened?
He and I, we drank last night and had a
Can you pass this to the around to the FD guys? Stop. They need to sign that for sure.
They're with me. So
Oh, they're not leaving? Okay.
Not a great job by the officer there. Sarah Boone was making admissions immediately. And she was saying, you know, last night we were drinking and then the officer stopped to make sure somebody signed something, you know, for the red tape. So unfortunately, we may have gotten more admissions right there, but she's going to keep telling the story. But it was interesting kind of the line she was going down. First thought, right? And I think that's important. First thought, before she got to thinking about it, before she could come up with a story that she wanted to tell during the interrogation, which we knew that she was trying to formulate a story. She was trying to figure out what they knew, what they thought. That was a clear theme throughout her interrogation. Right here, what is her immediate reaction? Well, she was saying we were drinking, and it sounds like she was going to blame it on that. And my opinion is, I think that may have been the truth, and I actually think that may have been the best line for her to go down, but it changes throughout.
No. Each of them has to. So this might be a real thing. So each of them has to put their
This-
name.
I just put everybody.
That was like a wink from this officer. This might be a real scene. Like, we're not messing around here. Let's make sure we get everybody to sign off on this. Because a defense lawyer may be picking this apart later is probably what she's thinking.
What's going on? I just got here, so fill me in.
No problem. Like,
Yeah,
he and I
sorry.
put a puzzle together. We've been doing some artwork together.
You are putting a puzzle together?
Yes, we have a puzzle that we started in there.
Okay.
We've been doing art, trying to take stuff off the wall to make new art put up there, like having a good time with one another. But we're drinking. We had a bottle of wine last night.
Okay.
So then it's like, we decided to play hide and seek, right?
Okay.
So he gets in the suitcase. Okay.
Who is this guy?
That's my ex-husband, my former husband.
How did he live here with you guys?
No, I called him over here.
Okay.
I didn't know what to do.
So this guy is your boyfriend of 3 years. That guy over there is your ex-husband. You guys are playing hide and seek, and he gets in the suitcase, is what she says. And this stuff is important. It may seem like we're nitpicking. I will translate. It's actually only on 1.25 speed, so they actually speak kind of quickly. So she says he gets in the suitcase. That's an important statement that I think can be impeached with her own statements later if the state wants to go that route. There's so much here for the state to use, so they have to pick and choose what they're going to use. And I may consider playing the entirety of this and her interrogation. I know it may seem boring. We did it on video together, I think in 3 parts. If anybody wants to go back and watch that, there's a Sarah Boone playlist. Went through the entire police interrogation. What was the good, the bad, the ugly. Now, unfortunately for the state, they can't sit there and comment on it like I did throughout the video because that would be pretty beneficial for them. But the rules of evidence do not allow that. They can do that during closing arguments. They can't. Not while they're playing it. They have to play it all the way through as evidence. But then during closing arguments, they could literally pick apart all of these videos together. And that may be something I would do if I was them because she makes so many admissions, in my opinion.
I didn't know what to do.
Okay.
So then he came over here.
Here, let's talk in private, okay?
I called you guys.
Mhm.
I tried giving you CPR. The problem is I fell asleep. I fell asleep.
When did you do CPR?
This morning when I found it.
Before you called?
Yes.
It's 1 o'clock right now.
I tried. I was awake, but I actually got out of the bed at like 12:30ish, whatever. So I came downstairs.
She's like, it's 1 o'clock. How have you been sleeping this whole time? This officer's making her explain. You know, when we talk about the Idaho case, like, how is Brian Koberger going to explain this? Well, the officers throughout this Sarah Boone investigation got her explanation for so much of this. Some of it makes sense. Some of it makes no sense. And yes, Ritz, her accounts of timing are all over the place. And that's the point of having all of this documented, all of these documented admissions by a criminal defendant. It's usually not good for them.
And I was like, oh, he's in the suitcase still. And that's when I found him. I took him out. I tried doing CPR, and then I called him, and then I called you guys.
Did he get here before the fire department got here?
Who?
Your husband? Or
Yes.
your ex-husband?
Yes.
Okay. Where's he live at?
Right on the street.
Again, strange, right? And we talked a lot about the timeline of 911 calls in the Idaho case. She calls, we talked about it in lots of cases, but this just goes to show you, I do believe, and say whatever you want about Sarah Boone, people, you don't know how you're going to react when you're in this situation. So she calls her ex-husband first. He comes over. Then they call 911. Fire department comes, law enforcement comes, all of that. So it's never a clean timeline here, right? So, and this just goes to, again, some context for the Idaho 4 when people want to look at what decisions and actions people make when they're met with the most, just traumatic experience of their life. You never really know what someone's going to do.
Okay. So you were playing and you did some up and
I did, but then I fell asleep.
Okay. You're okay. I wasn't here. I'm just trying to figure out what
I
happened.
fell asleep, so I don't know if he suffocated or like had an aneurysm or a heart attack or
What
what.
kind of medical conditions did you have?
None that I know of.
Nothing that you know of.
None
You
that
didn't
I
take
know
any
of.
medicine
No,
last night?
no.
No medicine.
All we had was a bottle of wine. Literally, just a bottle of wine.
Okay.
Doing puzzle artwork. Then we decided to play hide and seek.
Mhm.
That's all that happened.
Okay.
So I don't know if he had a heart attack or what in there. Like, I don't know what happened.
So how long were you doing CPR on him prior to you calling 911? You tried that all morning?
Yes.
Okay.
And then I called him while I was
What
doing
time
CPR.
did you start? Probably giving me a ballpark. Here, let me fill this deputy in, okay?
Please, may I have my Dr. Pepper? I am
Hold
so
on,
hot
one
mouth right
second.
now.
Ma'am, and you can't talk to him until we get done with this, okay?
Just don't leave, okay, Brian?
Thank you, ma'am.
Well, I'm
Appreciate
not.
it. Thank you.
I'll get Lucas.
I know.
Do me a favor. Stand over there by that mark. Give me 1 second.
She has to get Lucas, or I'm sorry, her husband has to get Lucas, which is their son, together. And that's a really sad context to all this. And you're going to hear more about Lucas. It's just so strange.
Just give us a second, okay?
Somebody else on there calling a break.
It's on the counter.
I can't move anything from out of the house.
Thirsty, like, I'm
Here, I want you to sit down because I don't want you passing out. This is probably a lot for you to deal
I
with,
need
right? Sit,
Ma'am,
I don't.
water. Just water.
I can get you some water, okay? Just I want you not on your feet because I don't want you passing out on me.
Yes.
Please, I need water.
Okay, I'll get some for you.
You're trying to Charlie, but you on it.
Tracy, this is a question we've been asking the whole time. I mean, there are so many questions in this case that I just don't think Sarah Boone could ever possibly explain away. But as she stated multiple times in her letters and in the interrogation, she's very intelligent. She believes she's very intelligent, and she tried to explain away everything. And to me, it just didn't work for the most part. There will be parts of this that I skip where the officers are just kind of walking around, but most of it we'll listen to.
Okay, so you don't live here in this house.
No. I live down in Lake Montico.
Like, okay. So kind of tell me how you came here today, or
Well, I've been calling.
come down here. We gotta talk about
I've been calling since.
You've been calling this your ex-wife or current wife?
Yes.
Okay.
No. Ex-wife. We've
Okay.
been divorced about a year and a half. About 11:30 is when I started calling to find out this is supposed to be her.
They've been divorced for a year and a half, but she just said that she was with her boyfriend for 3.5 years or something. So this is interesting. He's been calling her, which means it's not common for her to sleep in this late, which again then goes to her story. And if I'm the prosecutor, I'm going to ask him, why were you calling her over and over if she always sleeps in this late? Oh, she just slept in this late, just happened to this day while her significant other was suffocating in a suitcase. Those are kind of the questions I would ask him.
Per day.
Okay.
She's generally not very good about always doing it.
That's right. They called back and said she was still there, or she came back.
So I just wanted to find out if she was going to be
She tends to drink. I mean, they just got divorced a year and a half ago. There's child custody issues. She's not very good at, upholding her responsibilities. And again, the fact that he said she tends to drink is something that would go in line with what I think the truth is, that there was drinking involved here, but she tried to backtrack on that for whatever reason, because I think she thought it played better into whatever story she was trying to tell.
Getting him or not today?
From school.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So I started calling like 11:30, called every half hour or so, and then finally got a hold of her at 12:49, which is when she told me what was going on and if I'd come over here. So I came over.
She called at 12:45.
Yeah.
Okay.
Or 12:49.
12:49.
Got over here, told her she needed to call 911, get somebody over here.
So that's some interesting context for us as well. He told her she had to call 911. So she calls him first. He comes over. He's like, you need to call 911. And so she did, not on her own accord.
And then basically she said she needed to go outside, have a drink and a cigarette. I walked back out of the house because I didn't really want to
Who
be
called?
there.
Did you call or did she call?
Well, I called. She called me back when I was on my way to make sure I was coming over. But I called her
Give me 1
initially.
second, okay?
I called her
Do
initially.
you have water in your car by any chance?
I don't think so.
Okay, so she calls. You get over here.
I called her first.
Okay.
Trying to find out if she's going to get Lucas. That's what she told me everything's going on. I got my stuff together, put the puppy up in his crate. When I was starting to drive over here is when she called me to make sure I was coming, and then I got over here right after
Did you
that.
go inside and see and then?
I walked inside the front. I didn't see the front tile area.
Come on, step this way.
I saw legs. I just didn't really want to get her around it, so I told her.
Well, just for the sake of the crime scene, I want to know if I were to find your footprint, it would be because you went this far into the house. So did you actually make entry past the threshold?
I don't think I ever made it to the carpet. I think it was just in that. I've been over here before.
Yeah. So this is all important information just for the investigation. Again, especially when we think about the other cases that we're covering. Where did you walk? So if we see your footprints or we see your DNA in there, he's like, well, I don't know how far I walked, but I've been in this house many times. Stacked DNA, layered DNA, whatever it may be, right? So this is all interesting, kind of just background into how an investigation works, and how to rule out people as potential suspects.
Right. Yeah.
But no, I don't think I stepped past that tile area.
Okay. So
I touched the doorknob. I don't think I touched anything in the kitchen. I don't know if that really matters.
Okay, so that's pretty much the gist of what you have. Well, sit tight for us. We're gonna make a few phone calls and then we'll go from there. Do you know if he has any medical issues or?
I don't.
Okay, but you've met him before.
I've met him before. Yes.
Okay.
Yes. They've got a whole fun history.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah, you guys have called over his life.
For the two of them?
Yeah, he's been arrested like, I think 5 times.
Really? Okay, I'm not familiar with. I haven't been here personally.
So they have he's currently on parole because of it. So
because of domestic violence with her.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Last time he got
A lot of context comes from this conversation. Tracy, welcome to the membership crew. Yeah, it's a lot of context that he provides. I think he's definitely going to be a witness at trial and not for Sarah Boone. Now, he wasn't like horribly disparaging to her. He just seemed honest, to be honest, to me. He just seemed really honest.
Retrial something or other. He had to go to a domestic violence class.
Okay.
I know he was doing it at a parole officer, stuff like that. But I mean, like every time she got arrested, the next day she was trying to get bailed out. I don't know what it is.
Oh, she's getting water from the tap. Probably gonna pass out on it. Okay. Well, listen, please do me a tight.
Oh, no.
I'll make a few
not a
phone
problem.
calls.
I mean,
where's your kid need to be picked up?
Lakeline Elementary.
How soon though?
3 o'clock.
3 o'clock.
I
Okay.
don't leave the house.
Let me try and get this going for you because I know you need that. Yes.
The sound is off because she's doing whatever she's doing.
And his first name?
George, Jorge. Jorge.
J.
O-R-G-E.
His birth date?
2/13/78.
And this is a boyfriend?
Yes.
How long?
3.5 years.
Living together that whole time?
Yes.
And your last name?
Boone.
Spell it.
B-O-O-N-E.
First name?
Sarah. S-A-R-A-H.
Birth date?
10/10/77.
So you've had a second to kind of collect yourself. Tell
I hear you, that laser lady. I warned everybody in the beginning, but it still hits every time it comes.
to me again. You guys were playing last night, drinking a bottle of wine,
Putting puzzles together, doing
doing
artwork.
puzzles, artwork.
Had a bottle of wine and then decided to play hide and seek. So he
What
gets,
time was that? Do you remember?
I mean, I know that I was in bed probably by like what, 12:30?
Okay.
Well, I went upstairs at least and I fell asleep.
Okay.
Forgetting that he was
So
in
you
the
guys were
suitcase.
playing the hide and go seek.
Yes.
And at some point you put him in the suitcase?
No, he got in the suitcase. So
Okay.
he thought it'd be funny to be put in the suitcase. So I was like, okay, well, I'm going to joke with you and I'll zip you up and make him, squirm a little bit, whatever it is. But then I fell asleep.
So she admits right there that I'm going to zip you up and watch you squirm a little. Yeah, that's a part I would clip out and play. I'm going to zip you up and watch you squirm a little. Along with prior, domestic violence between the two of them. They had a history of this. I mean, that to me is about as damning as you can get. She admits zipping him up so he can squirm and then going and falling asleep. Now, what was her intent and things like that? We can talk about that further later, but this is an admission that she was the cause of his death, in my opinion. This is something that should go to the jury as evidence. And her own words are always most damning. A defendant's own words are the most damning pieces of evidence you can have against them.
I fell asleep. Where was the suitcase? Right where it is. Right down there? Yes. You zipped him in there? Yes. Thought it would be funny, a little bit. It was. We both were laughing about it. Okay. And then I fell asleep.
By the time she got to the interrogation room with law enforcement, Allison, good point, it was all sorts of clarifications around the zipping. Did she zip? Maybe she left room for him to be able to get out if she wanted to, or room for him to breathe. She doesn't say any of that at the first admission, and that's what's so important. The first time she tells this story, she zipped him up. They were laughing. He was squirming. Then she passed out. Now, somebody else said all this. Let me see. Somebody else said all this was, and here's Ozzy, all this was before the videos they got from her phone where she was laughing at him and he was begging for her to take him out. And he said, "This is for what you do to me," is what she says. So this, and again, stacking evidence on top of each other, this admission, along with those videos, shows she is the one that zipped him up, and then potentially motive or intent from the videos that came from her phone that we watched together and broke down in detail together. If you want to watch those, check out those on the playlist because we're rocking through this one today. But this is pieces of evidence stacking on top of each other that I think makes an incredibly strong case for the prosecution.
Did you fall asleep at? Upstairs. In your bedroom? Yes. Okay. Totally forgetting that he was in the suitcase still. Okay. And then you came back downstairs? This morning? Or this afternoon, yes, when I got up. What time? 12:30-ish. I was awake, but I totally forgot that he was in the suitcase. He can tell you there's a lot of things that we have been going through. Jobs. Yeah, he did tell me. Life, all that good stuff. So I just totally forgot. You began to do CPR on him? Yes. Yes. About what time this morning did you start doing that CPR? No, it was the afternoon. It was afternoon because I was awake. But then I finally decided to come downstairs at like 12:30-ish, whatever it is. And I was like, I forgot he was in the suitcase and he wasn't moving. Nothing was happening. So I unzipped him, took him out and started doing CPR on him. Mm-hmm. He was on his way over here. I called you when he got here. Once he got here, you called us? Yes. Okay. And air was coming out and he was gurgling, but.
So air was coming out and he's gurgling. So was he still alive? How long was he alive? Those are all interesting questions. But also she keeps saying, I called 911 when he got here, pointing to her ex-husband. What did her ex-husband say? Her ex-husband said, who has no reason to lie, I made sure she called 911. I told her, you got to call somebody now. So she's trying to make it seem like for sure that it was her decision, but it doesn't sound like that's actually the truth, which is damning in my opinion. How long was she actually awake before she called anybody?
I could just tell by looking at him. But you knew how to do CPR. You were doing that on your own? Yes. Okay. And then the person that was on the phone with me also, I counted with him doing it. And he's got no medical? He doesn't take any medication? I don't know. I don't know medical-wise. I know he doesn't take any medications whatsoever. Okay. The only thing, like I said, I don't know if alcohol had to do with it, but we had a bottle of wine. Okay. All right. Here's, I want you to sit back down because I don't want you to have one more sip of water, please? Yeah, go on.
Pretty clear. We had a bottle of wine. She said that multiple times. One bottle of wine that they shared.
Can you have a cigarette, please? Ma'am, I can't take anything out of the house. It's on the back porch. Nope, all of it. It's secure, okay? I'll try my best to get you what you need, okay? Maybe one of these deputies has a pack from someone, sit down and I'll try and get you what you need, okay? Just cut, please. Okay. I don't want you on your feet. Yeah. Want to talk over here?
A lot of new members today, which is cool. And I see we've got some Santa Clauses as well in the chat. Some of the usual suspects. All right, so they're having a conversation now between two law enforcement officers. We'll skip ahead.
It's still Boone. Okay. Yeah, and then your first name?
Brian, Brian.
Brian. And your date of birth?
5/27/75.
And your child is in school right now. He's not here with you.
No. He's
okay.
in school.
He's in school. How old is he?
This will be a fun one. He's 9. He's third grade.
I can't even start with how you would explain something like this. Okay. 6th grade, you said?
Third grade.
Third grade. Third grade. Okay. Yes. All right. So sit tight for us. I'm sorry it's so hot. Maybe the middle of that would be.
It's Florida.
So we'll take it from there. I'll keep you updated.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
Tori, every time I watch this, I notice she didn't act like a woman who just found someone dead while playing a game. She's so indifferent. Thank you for going or for doing a live during my prep so I could show up. Good. Glad you're here, Tori. Yeah. So, I mean, it's interesting how her demeanor is. And I think potential jurors, which, you know, you guys all are in the jurisdictions you're in, when you look at her, you gain so much from looking at not just what she says, but how she says it, what her demeanor is, what her facial expressions are, what her level of hysteria is really important to all of you.
$222 out and $221 out to get a check.
Now.
He's sleeping under the.
Poor thing. Did we get that dog by any chance?
He's sleeping under the.
Poor thing. So your backyard's not fenced, okay? Because we put him in the backyard, and I guess he knew to.
Sorry?
Your dog. We thought the backyard was fenced.
The dogs are outside.
No. We have them contained.
One's dead and one's blind.
Okay.
That's why I was making sure they were under the table.
Nope, that's yours. So we just wait for get instructions on what to do next. You got some water, good. Okay.
Can I please just have a cigarette? They're on the back porch.
Not right now. We can't have you go and get anything. Why don't you sit in the shade? You okay right there? Or maybe a little closer here where the shade is?
Still on?
Yeah. Are you?
You still on? I always love when officers ask each other that.
I heard silence. I said 220. I was leaving econ.
Wait a minute. I told them I had a cigarette and then
We can't let you guys communicate right now.
I know it's supposed to ask for one.
You want me to get a cigarette from him and bring it to you? I could probably do that.
I'm here.
Okay, good. I need to get her on there too and him.
Yes.
So they're en route already, probably?
Did anybody call?
No.
Still has herself muted, unfortunately.
Anxiety, you're scared, right?
Oh, this is the male officer now.
It's okay. You don't have to.
I don't know how to. I'm just waiting for whoever. So
I can tell you this. I'm going to be here just as long as you are, including my. It'll be a while. I'm welcoming this breeze right now. It's kind of warm. All right, so just bear with us.
I know.
All right.
If you can like give me whatever updates or anything that you know of, that's just how I work. So I know what kind of.
Let me look at my computer. See.
So she's asking for updates. She's sitting there thinking, right? She's sitting there thinking, and we know this because she comes up with certain explanations. I don't want to call them stories, but certain explanations before.
You already got a detective on his way. He's on the screen. Okay.
Before she gets to the interrogation room.
No, ya quiero. Lavarse las manos con.
All right, so now it looks like the detectives get there, and I think this is, yeah, that's one of the detectives that also interrogates Sarah Boone in the interrogation room. So now is where more of the investigation starts.
Hey, Sarah. You get enough water? No, if you want to stay seated, I don't want you getting lightheaded. So remember I said the detectives were going to come out and talk to you and go from there. You know what I'm saying? They're here. They're going to ask you a few questions and then go.
All right, so now she knows she's going to be asked a few questions by detectives. A couple comments here, Bodie. Before this happened, I think most people thought a soft-sided suitcase was not airtight. And then Blythe said, I honestly don't think she meant to kill him, which potentially could be a negligent homicide, so we will see. Tori says, why not ask the police to bring her a Reese Cup Blizzard? That's how calm she is. She wants to, I mean, a lot of people want cigarettes, I think, when they're freaking out or nervous or whatever it may be. And then she said she was cotton mouth, so she wanted something to drink. But let's hear what happens now that the detectives are here.
From there, okay? All right.
All right, sir. My name's Chelsea. My partner Scott. To my understanding, you reside here. Okay. Is it just you?
And George.
Okay.
I have a 9-year-old. It's 50-50, but Brian, my former husband.
Your former husband. Okay. But you reside here with George, and then your son lives with you, or lives there's 50-50.
Yeah.
Okay. So from what
Rodriguez
has told me, she explained last night that you guys were drinking a bottle of wine, and around midnight, you decided you guys.
Yeah.
Okay. You guys decided to play hide and seek.
Well, we were playing hide and seek, and then
Was your son home at the time, or okay?
no, with mine,
Ex.
with Brian.
Okay.
Decided to play stupid like that. Like, sure, we were putting puzzles together. We were doing artwork. You can see the puzzle that we finished in there, and then the artwork, and then decided to play hide and seek with being stupid.
Okay.
So he decided to get in the suitcase. So I thought it would be funny to, and he was laughing about it too, to dip him up in there. I go upstairs and fell asleep. So this morning when this afternoon when I actually got up out of the bed, I thought for sure he was downstairs on the laptop because he was being really quiet. But then I came upstairs and I'm like, where is he? Like, and then that's when I found him.
Okay.
I don't know what happened.
Okay. And then
I
you
mean,
weren't sure about
honestly,
if you woke up this morning.
the literal only explanation for this is that she was drunk. She was drunk. They were stupid. You know, she doesn't really remember who zipped who up and whatever. And then she goes upstairs and she passes out. That's really the only explanation. Anything else doesn't make a ton of sense for me. Hondo, off topic, but do you know Sheriff Judd? Do you ever watch his briefings? What do you and your father think of him? I love watching him. He's made for TV. He's strong in his convictions. It's an interesting watch always. He's a good dude. I've met him a few times. We're not like personal friends or anything. I've met him a few times. He's a good dude. He's very approachable. And we've had some battles in certain cases, but yeah, overall, he seems like a pretty good dude. Bodiqua Jewel. Question, I know it's off topic, but would you consider talking about the Prince Harry drama? I don't know a ton about it. It's probably more of my wife's arena. I don't know if there are legal angles. If so, let me know. You guys know where to find me, at Tragos Law on Instagram and Twitter if you want to send me some stuff on that. You guys control the content. What you are most interested in is what I'm going to do the videos on.
Morning
It was afternoon. I mean, I was
or
late,
this afternoon.
but I just didn't want to come downstairs. So I
Okay.
just laid in bed for a little while, and then I eventually came down.
Okay, another admission there that I don't remember ever coming out before. She was awake, and I think she's getting like pressured by the cops who all think it's just like amazing or weird or surprising or lazy even that she was in bed till 12:30 or 1 o'clock in the afternoon. So now she's saying she was actually awake, but didn't come downstairs. That's another admission. So you were awake for how long? With the one person that you live with in this house was not in bed next to you. Where does he usually sleep? Doesn't he usually sleep next to you? And you didn't think about it once that he wasn't next to you? So how long was he trying to breathe downstairs while you were just sitting in your bed doing what? Because I think her husband said earlier, her ex-husband, that her ex-husband was trying to reach out to her and she wasn't responding. So why wasn't she responding to her ex-husband then throughout this time? Doesn't make sense. And all of these admissions are going to bring questions from the prosecutors if she takes the stand. And if not, they'll be able to make arguments that are reasonable inferences from her admissions and statements in these videos. And they'll be able to do that during closing arguments.
Where he was, and then I was like, oh my God, he's in the suitcase still. So I pulled him out, and I stretched him out, and I started to try to do CPR on him. I called you guys.
She pulled him out and she stretched him out. So when they came to the scene, he was not in the condition that she found him, right? We know that. We know that he was not, twisted into the pretzel or whatever it must have taken for a grown man to fit inside a suitcase. So she admits that.
I called Brian.
Okay.
And then as soon as he got here, which is 30 seconds down the road, I called you guys.
Okay.
And the person on the phone had you do the confessions.
Orlando area, Jay.
Really still and count with him. And so you guys showed up.
Okay. And so as a part of our investigation, we obviously have to go inside the house. We have to look at things. Are you okay with us
Yes.
going in the house and looking at things?
Yes.
Okay. And forensics. So we have to have our forensics crime scene.
So now that she's said yes to that question, you'll see the detective now be a lot more confident in asking for things because Sarah Boone is, proving her innocence somehow. She thinks that. A lot of people think you prove your innocence by waiving all of your rights. That's not the way to prove your innocence. The way to prove your innocence is say, chill out. Let me get somebody that actually cares about me and my rights and is not trying to steamroll me. Let me get a lawyer. And then you can ask the lawyer what you can do. And it's between you guys at that point. But just waiving all of your rights does not prove your innocence. And most of the time, it lets them gain enough to prove your guilt, whether or not you did it. In this case, some people may be confident that she did it, but waiving all of her rights did not make her any more innocent. And tears in the rain should never talk to the police without a lawyer. She is not under arrest yet, but talking up a storm. Or as we watch the video, when should she have said, I'm not saying anything till I get a lawyer? Honestly, instead of calling your ex-husband first, I may have called a lawyer to show up there first and then call 911 and let the lawyer deal with all of this. But it's never too soon to call a lawyer. I'll put it that way.
Investigators come out. Are you also okay with them coming inside, taking photographs and? Okay. Okay.
Can I ask, is Brian, I'm sorry, George, was he diagnosed with any kind of medical history?
Not that I know of. Not that I know of. I don't know. I mean, he doesn't take drugs. I mean, we'll have the occasional bottle of wine here and there, but I don't know.
That was going to be my next question. So you guys don't normally drink? You just drink once in a while, or?
Well, I'm gonna say okay, I guess normal drinking is we will have a glass of wine or two, while we're cooking dinner. We'll play a board game with him. We'll things in there.
Again, how this stuff doesn't make sense. If prosecutors want to nitpick, isn't a normal bottle of wine 4 or 5 glasses? So she's saying normal nights we have 1 or 2 glasses, but to this night we had a whole bottle. It's isn't that pretty much the same thing? Morgan just got dismissed from a jury trial. That's wild. Either dismissed meaning you were on the jury or you didn't get picked for the jury. Interesting. Azam, do we know the size of the actual suitcase? I'd be willing to bet this is going to be entered into evidence, and we're going to see this during the trial, and we're going to hear exactly what size George was. I'm sure that information's already available. Sedlacek, probably. Peter, do you think this police video and the interrogation video will be seen in its entirety or played in its entirety to the jury? We know not all evidence, information, testimony are allowed in front of the jury. Definitely not in its entirety, but I absolutely think clips of all of this are going to come in front of the jury. The important parts to prove cases or be impeachable statements by Sarah Boone will probably come in.
But I mean, it's not
A couple of beers a day.
Well, but I don't understand though. For the little bit that we had, not had. I don't know if he had a heart attack or a stroke or an aneurysm or what happened. I don't know.
So were you guys together all day yesterday?
Yes.
Okay.
With a name like Pauly D, I absolutely believe this guy's a bartender. All I think of Pauly D is DJ Pauly D. That was when I was my college years and Jersey Shore was out. So we have an expert opinion here, people. 1 wine bottle is 4 glasses. So when she says normally we only have 1 to 2 glasses a night, but tonight we had a full bottle of wine, I'd call Pauly D to the stand and be like, Pauly D, explain to this jury how many glasses of wine are in a bottle. Pauly D will be like, that's it. Boom. Locked and loaded. Thanks, Pauly. I'm just messing with you, by the way. Hopefully you were not offended by any of those comments. Just having a good time.
Yeah. Neither of you left the apartment yesterday?
I think we drove up to Kingsford to get cigarettes.
Okay.
But I mean, you can walk there.
Does he have any history of consuming drugs? I know he doesn't now because you said he doesn't. But
I don't know.
As far as you've ever known him, you've never seen him.
No. I mean, he's from Philadelphia, and he grew up in Philadelphia, and then he went to Massachusetts, and then from Massachusetts he came down here. So I don't really know a whole lot of medical history.
How long have you guys been together?
Almost 4 years, 3.5 years.
You guys been living here the whole time?
Yes.
Okay. He's never been to the doctor or to the hospital during that time?
He and his brother got into a really bad argument at one point, and he had to have facial reconstruction. But he had been in the hospital from that, and then I talked him into going to see a regular physician, so he could get just a regular checkup thing. Yeah. But there were no red flags.
How long ago was that?
The surgery or the
both.
doctor?
Both.
The surgery I think was at this point 2 years, maybe 2.5 years. The checkup was probably a good.
Medical issues or not, when you're put in that position, it's going to be pretty tough to survive. And yes, Deborah D, thank you for the shout. Hit that like button and subscribe if you haven't already. We're about to hit, I think, 172,000 or 173,000. Each 1,000 milestone is always fun to see as we continue to grow as a community. So many funny comments coming in here. Where do you get a bottle of wine with 4 glasses? Mine only has 1. And then Deborah says that they have a receipt for 2 bottles of wine, which can mean a lot of things. So they drink 2 bottles of wine. Okay. Or they didn't drink both the bottles that they bought, right? I'm sure there's some evidence of that inside the house, or they had some beer, alcohol, or wine already in the house, as most people do, and they went to buy additional bottles. So I don't know what it actually proves how much they drank, but regardless, she's put herself in a corner here. She's talked herself into a corner with the statements she's making about later on when we watch the interrogation. No, we weren't drunk. We weren't drunk. I don't drink that much. Yet her husband says she does. And actually, the story only makes sense if you are obliterated and drunk. But we'll continue watching and see if she makes any more admissions here.
And the suitcase is still in there?
Yep, always. Is it normally stored down there? Did you guys travel recently?
No, he was going to start putting some of the donations in there. So that's why
That's why it's out? Yes. Okay. You guys didn't recently travel somewhere or anything like that?
After you zipped them up, did you move the bag around and mess with them at all, or you just zipped it up and walked away?
and I
without
both
them?
were laughing about it. But I went upstairs and I fell asleep.
Like, just as a rational person, right? And I think the state is going to make these arguments in closing because the reasonable person, don't leave your common sense at the door. State attorneys love that. Okay. They always think that means they win. But in this situation, don't leave your common sense at the door. We were both laughing about it. He was in the suitcase. And then I went upstairs and went to bed. Like, we've all been in relationships before, some good relationships, some bad relationships, maybe even some abusive relationships. When would you ever play a game, laugh about it, and leave somebody zipped in a suitcase and go upstairs and go to bed? Now, if this was 2 8-year-old kids playing, then maybe we can explain that. Maybe they wouldn't understand what could happen, things like that. But 2 adults, this is very strange and would go against common sense, in my opinion. And those are the arguments I would make to the jury about she knew what she was doing. And we have these videos that she made on her phone that show her clear motive and her intent to leave him in there.
What position was he in when he went in? Was he sitting on his rear end and his head up, and he just kind of bent over?
Okay, so like this is the suitcase. Like this was his head, and then his knees right here, and his feet were down.
So he was laying on the side.
Yes.
You just closed the flap and zipped it around.
Yes.
Him. Okay.
I moved we were playing.
Understandable. Okay.
So he said that I needed to tell you guys about his family. Like, who do I talk to about that?
We're gonna do that once we walk through and see. Yeah, we're
not
gonna.
going anywhere. We're
I'm
gonna be here
just
for a
telling you,
while.
like,
Yeah, this is gonna be a
I'm
while.
afraid for my life. I want you to know that. I'm
Why
afraid
is that?
for my life. His family has never liked me. I'm a blue-eyed white devil, is what they call me. So they've never liked me. They've never taken me in. They've never accepted me. I'll put it that way.
So this is another exhibit in making arguments and statements that you think are helpful towards you. So she's setting the cops up where, like, if his family says anything bad about me, they've always hated me. They've called me a white devil. It's like, if these cops are thinking that you did something to George, telling them that other people in your, circle think you're a white devil is actually probably going to cut against you more than it's going to cut towards you. Yet, yeah, she says that in the interrogation. She says it all the time. Yeah, the family seems to have been seeing the red flags earlier on. And again, this is absolutely a statement that I would use against her if I was a prosecutor.
Have you called any of them?
We talked to his daughters yesterday.
No, I mean like about this. So
No.
Okay.
That's
So
why
no one's gonna know until we will be making that notification. So
they're going to
it's
kill me.
okay.
Do
Well,
they live local?
Yes, they're down the road. They're going to kill me. His kids are going to kill me in Philadelphia. They're going to kill me. This was not intentional.
okay.
They're not going to understand that. They're not going to accept it.
We're gonna do a thorough investigation, and we will definitely make sure that you don't feel scared when we leave here. Okay.
And
When
my
we leave.
9-year-old.
Well, he's at school and he's with your husband.
I know. Well,
Ex-husband.
Your husband said that, or your ex-husband said you made arrangements for your 9-year-old to be picked up.
Oh, okay, Mom.
Okay.
All right, we're gonna go inside if that's okay.
Yes, please. But can you guys just keep me posted
Of
so
course.
I know what's going on?
Yes, ma'am. All you have to do is get their attention if you have a question or you need to talk to us. He's standing right there. She'll be right here.
Yeah. Okay, but will you guys tell me, like, so you're telling me, like, you won't call whoever it is without telling me, right?
No.
I mean, I have all their phone
We're
numbers
not
if you need
calling.
them.
We're not making phone calls. We're actually gonna speak.
So she really is worried about telling the family at this point. James, are you going to play the interrogation? We actually did 3 videos, 3 different parts going through the entirety of the interrogation. So go to our YouTube channel, hit that subscribe button, look for the Sarah Boone playlist, and watch all of them with us there. And get in the comments and let me know what you think. Boricua Jewel, rewatch crew here. Question: how much does the drinking wine part play into all of this? She's impaired and didn't realize? I think it could go to intentional versus unintentional homicide. I still think all the evidence probably points towards who she was the cause of his death. But I think that so many of her statements are going to be impeachable, and it's going to make it look like she tried to lie and cover this up and make it seem unintentional when in reality it was intentional. That's, I think, the angle the prosecution is going to take at this trial. Farah, I watched the body language guys break down this video as well. Very interesting. Thanks for giving us the legal side. Yeah, I bet they had a heyday with her body language throughout this video.
Speak to them in person.
Yeah.
We
That'll
are.
be later
They're
on.
going to, okay.
It'll
You'll
be
know
later.
prior to us making any
I'm
contact.
not going to be here. They're going to kill me.
Okay.
We'll address all of that, okay, before we leave.
Okay? This was.
Okay.
Would one of the Superstar members put a link to the interrogation videos in here? That would be awesome if you can. If not, I will do it at the end.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Just
no
take it easy,
use.
Okay, Sarah, I know you're panicking. Okay, just relax. We'll come and talk to you. We'll keep checking on you.
She's telling us she's having panic attacks. Does not seem like that to the naked eye. I'm not an expert. Doesn't seem like she's having a panic attack to me. All right. So we can skip through some of their muted officer discussions. So they actually went inside the house here, then came back out.
Anything though, like why or how?
So we will not know the answer to that because we're not doctors. So what's gonna happen is he's gonna go to the medical office and he'll have what's called an autopsy. Yeah. That'll be first thing tomorrow morning. I'll know a lot, hopefully a lot more tomorrow morning as far as him. But I cannot. There's no way I could say how, why.
So just by looking at him, like, why is he purple?
Oh, that's normal when someone passes away. Lividity, turn.
As soon as the heart stops beating, the blood starts to settle to the lowest points of the body.
Kind of a gruesome admission there.
And it becomes very pronounced. So that's just called a public bleed. It happens when
I'm like, really?
It can be. There are actually domestic violence charges and accusations going both ways, that she abused him and that he abused her. Yes.
Really scared. I want you guys to know that.
you have all these deputies here, so while we're here, nothing's going to happen to you. Before we go and make any notifications, you'll have plenty of time to leave or do what
Run.
you need to do. Whatever you need to do. Okay? And we can talk about that more in length. But yeah, it's not going to be a surprise.
Real quick, and then,
But like, I don't like. This was totally like not intentional. Like, that's what I'm scared about too. Like,
We'll have all the answers. We'll have a lot more answers tomorrow after medical exam. With that, like you said, what you're seeing here is common. This is us coming out.
Protocol.
Yeah, his age, no real medical history that
that
we
I
know
know
of.
of.
For him to have passed away.
Yeah, she's
I
hoping.
know.
At this point, she's hoping that he has a medical issue, honestly. I honestly think that's what's going through her head. Maybe he had a heart issue. Maybe he had, lung cancer that we didn't know about. And that's why he died, not because he's in the suitcase, because that would be something that would let her off. If he had some kind of medical issue and it was not that because he was trapped in a suitcase as the reason he passed away, that is how she gets off. So it seems like, rightfully so, that's what she's hoping for at this point. And I can't really blame her. I would hope for the same thing if I was in her situation, that it wasn't my fault and that I didn't screw up and just do this to my significant other.
Yeah.
We come out and do an investigation. Medical examiner's office, we send people out, this is what we do. If he was 75 years old and had a history of heart conditions, we wouldn't be here.
Don't know what his
I don't think that's true.
And that's what we're here to find out. We're just here to get the answers. The answers that you want, the answers that his family's
I
going to
just
want.
really want to see my son. Like, I really need to see my son. I mean, I know I can't go anywhere, but
right.
So do I just like sit out here and wait for you guys?
If you would, yes, please.
Is anybody else having to show up, or everybody's here that needs to be here?
My team's here.
Yeah.
That needs to be here. The medical examiners will show up when we call them, but we're not ready for them yet. So they're going to take him. They're going to take some photos, take him. But that's towards the end of it. And they'll be called well in advance when we're ready for them. But we're not ready for them at this point. So we won't be calling them quite yet. Okay. So like I said, I got to go do some paperwork. They're going to chat with some people, and then we're going to come back and talk to you if you're okay with that.
Yes,
So just give us a little bit more time. Like I said, I need to go and do that. And go do
So, like, do you guys tell his family like today or after
Yes,
tomorrow?
we have to.
It's a lot.
We have to go make contact with the family.
Yeah.
They have to notify.
Once our investigation is pretty much complete here, once we leave here, we will be going to.
But again, you'll know. I'm not going to just go and do it without you knowing. You'll know. to talk to you prior to doing anything like that.
But how? I mean, I understand.
They're trying to build a rapport with her here. Giving her some information, saying we're not going to do anything without telling you. Whether or not that's true, who knows? Rosie, can his fam come and testify to her prior bad acts? That'll depend on what prior bad action come in. I think they can definitely come and testify to their history, and whether or not she had done anything like this before or made accusations or why. I mean, she admits that they all thought that the family thought she was going to kill George. So why? Why did they think that? And they can not speculate, but they can give some information if there's actual evidence and things that she has said and done in the past that made them fear for that.
What you guys and how you do it, So, but like, what do you just tell him? What do you tell his parents? Like, what's the reason passed away?
We tell them what we know at that point.
Yeah.
We tell them the truth.
What are you going to tell them? You can tell them I did it on purpose?
We're gonna be waiting for the autopsy results, and I will be at the autopsy in the morning, and hopefully the doctor will be able to give me some of what they think and see.
We'll give them their number. They can contact them and get it from them.
But yeah, they're gonna know what we're here, what we're investigating, and that they're gonna think I killed him.
Why would they think that?
They always have said that. They've always have said that.
Once again, making an argument that she thinks is good for her and that the cops are just automatically going to believe her, that is absolutely going to be used against her. And again, this is something I would play in my opening statement. The parents always thought she was going to kill George, and the evidence at this trial will show they were right. Literally, I would clip this out and use her own words in my opening statement if I was the prosecutor in this case.
I told you it's because I'm the blue-eyed white dragon. That's what they call me. Because they don't want him with me. So he's basically just not really been around his family because he chooses me over them. Even after I've encouraged him numerous times to go there and see his family. They've never accepted me. They've always been unforgiving over there. So they've never accepted me. And everybody who's been there has tried to kick my ass. So, especially his sister. He had to pull her off me one time.
Do you have somewhere safe that you can go tonight?
Both my parents are deceased. My grandparents are deceased. My aunt and uncle are deceased. I got nobody. I have a brother that's in the Marines, and I've got another one that's in jail.
Unless the brother that's Marine is he local?
No. Well, he's in Altamont, but I think he's doing whatever Marine thing he's doing. But the only way.
Your phone's inside, correct?
Yeah. Does he have a phone? No.
He doesn't have a phone.
He used my phone.
He used your.
Yeah, we
Okay,
did it
share
together.
phone.
That's weird.
So the only place I could go is over to Brian's house. So I don't think I'll have a problem with it. Okay. So
If you were Brian, would you want her to come stay at your house now? I mean, if you even had a bit of a thought that this is what happened to her other significant other, why would you tell detectives that? Aaron Sweet, because she thinks she can talk her way out of this. She really thinks she can talk her way out of this. Also, some potential manipulation, trying to find out what the cops think. Do you think I did this on purpose? Very childlike responses. I mean, this is overtly she's doing this. What are you going to tell them? What are you going to tell his family? You're going to tell them it was intentional? You're going to tell them it was accidental? This was not intentional. This was accidental. The whole time, this is what she was trying to do. Donna, she will plead to manslaughter. If they offered it to her, I think she should seriously consider it. And I would not be surprised if this was the outcome. But she seems to maintain her innocence. And I think that's one of the issues going through with all these lawyers. Dusty Den asked Peter, any updates on her lawyer? I missed the beginning. Sorry if you already covered it. The judge would not let this sixth lawyer bounce, even though he wanted to. So we're going to find out more January 17th. Are they ready for trial? Have they met, which the judge ordered them to meet? If they have not met, and this lawyer is still not speaking to her, we're not going to have this trial on January 30th. But if they have and they're moving towards trial, we're on our way. Janet stuttered. Nothing I've seen convinces me she intentionally offed him. Crazy to get in a suitcase zipped up with someone you have had tumultuous relationship with. Yes, I think that the clips from her cell phone are the closest thing that help prove intentional, not accidental. And we'll see how far those go.
Well, like I said, we're not going to leave here. If you do not feel safe, you're not going to leave here if you're not feeling safe. Because then we're liable.
and then his ex-wife in Philadelphia.
Well, she's in Philadelphia, yes.
There's gonna be a funeral.
Right. That you're talking like days and weeks.
No,
I'm talking right here, right now.
I
It's just, so let me do my investigation. Let me go do this paperwork that I'm talking about because we can go back and forth about what it's like all day long.
I know.
I
Sorry.
promise we're not going to leave here for you and you not feel safe. Okay. I promise.
Please. It's just, I don't even know what to tell you.
It's okay. Just take a seat, have some water, give us a few minutes, let us do our thing, and we'll be back.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Go
Yeah.
ahead and type.
Okay.
Sit down and type and keep like eyes on. Do you have anyone in here?
There's nobody here, just me.
Okay, that's fine. You're right there, right?
Yeah.
Sit there and type. You're fine. I have relief coming, so just get type.
All right. And that's the end of it. Pretty wild. No use for name. Peter, I don't understand. You talk about how it was intentional, or it might be, I said. And she said multiple times that it was no maliciousness. What gives? You know, sometimes what people say is not true, but the evidence is going to have to show what happens. Anna P., it's so unnerving that she doesn't seem worried about him or even remotely sad. If I was drunk out of my mind and something like this happened in a true accidental manner, I'd be guilt-ridden, grieving, and self-blaming. I mean, I don't think I'd be able to talk about it, if I'm being honest. I would be like in shock that this happened. I can't believe I did this. Take me to the hospital. Like, get me checked out. I have no idea what just happened. Let me get this link here to this question here. Can you link the other videos? There is part 1. And if you go from part 1, then part 2 and part 3 will immediately follow for anybody that wants to watch the interrogation breakdowns. Here are the links. They are in the chat. And make sure you subscribe. Thank you, Anna P., for this question. Bella Vita Loca. Based on the revolving door with changing her lawyers, do you think the prosecution will break her composure in the trial? Break her composure. I think that's an interesting question. I think she'll be about like this, right? We saw hours of her now in this discussion and in her police interrogation. Her demeanor is the same. I think she's confident. I think she thinks people believe what she says. I think that she thinks she's going to be able to convince this jury, and I think she wants to take the stand, and I think she will take the stand. Now, maybe she won't, but my guess would be she's going to take the stand and try to explain this to somebody and explain it to the jury, and she thinks she can convince this jury. What her lawyers think about it, I don't know. We'll have to see. Yeah, Nicole, overly confident, potentially. Julie Hammond. Love this channel. Been watching for a while. First time in the chat. Well, Julie, welcome to the chat. The chat's a good time. The chat provides so much context and so many great questions that really add to the content. So we've got 3,000 people plus here watching. Hopefully we have 3,000 likes. If you haven't liked the video yet, hit that like button. Yesterday, that's kind of what saved our video, at least partially, from the glitch where we just lost hours of views immediately following the video, which was kind of annoying, but whatever. I just hope people that had questions about the gag order and all the discussions I had yesterday with my dad on, who is just a beacon of knowledge, people got to watch that. Jill's Joys. How do you think she got him in the suitcase? Well, we really only have her point of view at this point, right? Whether we believe it or not is up to the jury to determine that. But she says he willingly got into the suitcase and she zipped him up. That is honestly the only explanation we've gotten. It's really the only one that makes sense. I mean, she would really have to beat him up or have him passed out. And then even then to stuff a body in a suitcase. I really can't figure out a different way but him agreeing to and actually getting in it. Yes, it was fun, Nicole and Giggy for Ephraim. They do arrest her, Janet, but they wanted to get more information out of her, which they did back when they interrogated her. So check out that interrogation where she just spills more and more and more and more and more. What about spiking the wine? That's interesting. Well, I wonder if they did a blood test on her afterwards, and if there was any, roofies or something in her blood, that could be a plausible explanation as well. Do we know if there are more videos on her phone? Diana asked. The only ones I know about that I've seen publicly released, we broke down on this channel as well. If you want to go and check that out on our Sarah Boone playlist. MS, Peter, he was actually hiding from her in the suitcase. But she said she zipped him up in there. So again, doesn't make sense if you know he's in there playing hide and seek, but that's what she said. What's up, Rebel Duck? And as we often have to do on this channel, hello and goodbye. We've hit our mark. We've gotten through everything we wanted to. We're prepping for this trial. 20 days till it starts, 1 week until the pretrial. We will know more there. But that's all we've got for today. Stay tuned to our channel. I am going to post a short about the Idaho 4 and Brian Koberger case a little bit later. Rich Cat said Fox 35 Orlando plans to air the trial live. And it's so close to me that we make some plans here if we can hit some milestones. How quick do you think we can get to 200K? Do you think we can get to 200K by the end of this trial? Is that too much to think about? If we do, maybe we'll do something fun. Julie Hamid, fantasy football update. Your boy got 3rd place. I announced the winner. I think it was We Dem Boys got 1st place. I'm waiting for them to reach out to me by email or through the ESPN app so they can get their prize for winning the inaugural Fantasy Football Lawyer You Know League. Jill's Joyce, think we can get there. Well, we can only get there with you guys. Telling people like and share and stuff like that. Yes, it can be. We broke down that video. It's brutal to watch, if I'm being honest. Misleading title, somebody said, because that wasn't even the arrest. Sorry, Ozzy. Sorry for the misleading title. Hopefully we were able to talk about enough to where you got enough content out of it that you enjoyed. All right. I appreciate you all. You guys are awesome. As always, until next time, I'm out of here.